Hi, I've got another Halloween story for you. This story is called Frankenstein, and it is kind of a silly story. I really like it. It's a parody, and parody means that it takes something more serious and then turns it into something silly using the same pattern. So if you've ever heard the story Madeline, this story, Frankenstein, is a parody of the book Madeline. And I think this book is so funny. And I loved the book Madeline when I was young. Very, very cute. So this one is called Frankenstein. In a creepy old castle, all covered with spines, lived 12 ugly monsters in 2 crooked lines. In 2 crooked lines, they bonked their heads, pulled out their teeth, and wet their beds. They bit the good and gobbled the bad. They even tried to devour your dad. They left the castle each night at 9 in crooked lines. They yelled, they whined, and the ugliest one was Frankenstein. He scared people out of their socks. He could even frighten rocks. And when he visited the zoo, the animals hid and cried, boo-hoo. And nobody knew so well how to torment Miss DeVille. One bleak and dark and dismal night, Miss DeVille turned on her light and whispered, "Something is not right." Instead of shrieks and howls and groans, Frankenstein laid still, no moans. DeVille screeched, "Call Dr. Bone!" who came, then screamed, "Ah!" and grabbed his phone and dialed Frankenstein 11. "Nurse," he said, "his noggin's gone." Noggin's another word for head. All the other monsters said, "It wasn't me who ate his head." Frankenstein was carried off in Dr. Bone's creaky coffin. In a hearse grotesque and gory, they drove him to the laboratory. Where Frankenstein awoke, he said, "What's this? I have a brand new head." His head was hungry, so he swallowed. The nursing staff, the doctor followed. He chomped the ceiling out of habit. Yum, he thought. It tastes like rabbit. He even ate a pizza guy. And so 10 days passed quickly by. One stormy eve, Miss DeVille said, "Isn't it a fine night to bother Frankenstein?" Visitors from 2 to 4 read a sign nailed to his door. The monsters gnawed the wood and then shouted, "We're coming in!" They stomped, then squealed, "Sweet!" For around them at their feet were lots of yucky treats to eat. But what inspired the greatest ews? There on his neck, 2 huge new screws. "Miss DeVille, we want to stay." But Miss DeVille cried, "No way." Home they trudged and bonked their heads, pulled out their teeth, and wet their beds. One bleak and dark and dismal night, Miss DeVille turned on her light, then shouted, "Something is not right!" And so, hoping no more disaster, Miss DeVille ran fast and faster. "Oh," she pleaded, "monsters, do tell me what's troubling you." All the ugly monsters said, "Nothing. Each had lost their head. "Good night, monsters. Now you cannot whine and yell. I'm going back to sleep," said Miss DeVille. She turned out the light and slammed the door. That's all there is. There isn't any more. I said, that's all there is. There is no more. Oh, is that another page? Wait a minute. You're leaving me in the laboratory? Where are our heads? Where are our new screws? Do you think those monsters thought that if they got their heads off, they could go to the laboratory and get new screws? Probably. That's a fun, silly story.